What's up? So today I'm feeling pretty good, and I wanted to touch on some, not really do's and don'ts, but kind of a little something like that. So for all of my autoimmune baddies, I just want to give some tips and things that I've learned. My autoimmune journey, it started well before this, but when it was recognized was back in 2020. That's when my symptoms got completely out of hand, and I couldn't just chalk it up to depression or being tired. That's when things were just completely like, something is wrong. I need to figure this out. So I remember my nieces, they told me I slept for 2 weeks, and this was like probably in 2017. Now, did I literally sleep for 2 weeks? No. What happened was I would sleep, and I could sleep for a good 5, 6, 7 hours, and I would wake up, and I couldn't stay awake for more than 2 hours at a time max. It didn't matter if I had coffee, Red Bull, whatever. I just couldn't do it, and I would like fall back asleep. So that happened for about 2 weeks or so, and then I kind of went back to normal, but normal still wasn't normal. I never forced to look into it or anything. You know, I was functioning, I was fine. I just thought, listen, I'm an overworked, depressed mom. I'm tired, whatever. Fast forward to 2020, I started having a lot more fatigue, a lot more pain, and I'm like, you know what? I need to reach out to my doctor about this. And he did some blood work, and he ended up sending me to a rheumatologist. I had to wait 4 months for that appointment, and that 4 months was completely excruciating, because in that 4 months, it's not like I was being treated for anything. And I just remember those 4 months like being pushed to my mental limit. Like, I was just so tired all the time. I had to take off of work, which was terrible for me. If you know me personally, I need to work. I like working. I need the routine, all of that. So that was really hard. And from that, I actually ended up being off of work for a full year. And that was so mentally, it was just like torture for me. And in that time, we were trying to figure out what's going on. So rewind. I go and I see this rheumatologist, and she was horrible. I waited 4 months for that appointment to see her for 10, 12 minutes. She examined me, and then she hands me a pamphlet and tells me that I have fibromyalgia, and refers me back to my primary care doctor because she said she does not treat fibromyalgia. I had heard of that, but I had no idea what it was. So I'm reading the pamphlet. It's not really telling me much. It was actually directing me to someone's YouTube channel to learn how to deal with it. And the more research I did, the more I realized that fibromyalgia, like, just breaking down the word of itself, it just means like pain all over. Just to put it, it just means pain all over. And the only thing that they treat it with really is antidepressants. So it's like, you're telling me it's a mental problem. Like, I don't have an actual problem. And I didn't know what to do with that, because I waited 4 months to see this woman. And then she told me she doesn't treat that and go back to my primary. So I did. And he and I were both not ecstatic about her diagnosis. But, you know, my goal has always been, I need to keep working. She was trying to send me to physical therapy for the rest of my life, and it was just ridiculous. And I needed to keep working. So I did that. My doctor, he tried a few different medications. He ended up putting me on Cymbalta. I was on Cymbalta for, I want to say, a little under 3 years, maybe. The first month, it was absolutely life-changing, it seemed. I had energy. I felt better for the most part, but I was still going through pain and all that. So I ended up having to get treated for the pain. I couldn't deal with it. It was just getting worse and worse. And it just felt like whatever was wrong with me was progressing, and I wasn't getting any help. So he sent me to another rheumatologist, and this guy was worse than the first one, because he looked in my medical chart thing, and once he saw fibromyalgia, this man literally asked me why I was there. I'm like, because I'm trying to get to the bottom of what's going on with me. I'm having more symptoms, things are getting worse for me, and I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it. He's like, you have fibromyalgia. So he had a really nasty attitude. He brushed me off, and that was that. Fast forward August of 2021, and this is when things got more serious. So think about that. That was like a year and a half after seeing the initial rheumatologist. In the middle of the night, I felt so much pain in the side of my head, and my eye, it was like, it felt weird. It was hurting. So I stayed sleeping, but I kept getting this shooting pain in the side of my head to my eye. When I woke up, I went to the bathroom, and my mirror is there. When I walked past, I glanced over, and I saw that my eye was red. I'm like, oh shoot, I have pink eye. I need to go to urgent care. So I went I went to urgent care, and when the doctor saw me and she's looking, she's like, this is not pink eye. You need to go to the emergency room, like now. Like, she wanted to call an ambulance from the urgent care to the hospital. I'm like, no, I have things to do. She made me promise that I was going to go to the hospital. So that was about, early in the afternoon. My son was at work, and at the time he didn't have his own car. He was too young for that, but he was working, and he got off of work at about, it was either like 7 or 9 p.m. around there. So I picked him up, and by that time I was in so much pain. It didn't matter if my eyes were open or closed. The pain was so intense. It was excruciating to pick him up. And he could drive, like he had his permit, he just didn't have a car. So I had to have him drive me to the emergency room. I ended up getting admitted, so my husband had to come pick my son up, and I was transferred from one hospital to another branch of that hospital about an hour and change away. I was hospitalized for 5 days. They did all types of tests. I saw an eye specialist, and they were giving me pain medication, and it wasn't helping. And the eye specialist told me he suspects that this is something autoimmune, and he's going to give me steroids, and if the steroids help, then this is autoimmune. So he gave me the steroids, and I was able to open my eyes. It took, like, I want to say probably 2 to 3 hours. I was able to open my eyes again, because it had got that bad. Like, I couldn't even have my eyes open. They had given me like one of those sleep mask things to keep it dark and everything. It was really, really bad. So I ended up being in the hospital for 5 days. They did all types of tests and scan and everything. And would you believe, at the end of the 5 days, they discharged me from the hospital saying that I had pink eye. Yeah. So the nurse, as she's unhooking me from the IV, and even she's like, this is not pink eye, like, this is ridiculous. And I'm just like, I told the doctor, I'm like, so you mean to tell me I went to the urgent care and that doctor is an idiot, because she said it was not pink eye. I went to the emergency room. Every doctor who saw me there is an idiot. And then the doctors who transferred me an hour and some change away, and I've been in the hospital for 5 days. You're telling me basically everyone who saw me is an idiot, including you, because I have pink eye. And he's just like, like, he had no answers for me. The eye specialist requested to see me outside of the hospital, so I went there, and he wanted to send me to the big hospital in Philadelphia, because he's trying to get to the bottom of it. Like, he was the only one who was adamant in trying to get to the bottom of it. So I saw him a few times, And then I'm trying to remember what happened. I'm not sure what happened, but I didn't end up going to Philadelphia. I went back with my primary, and we started looking for another rheumatologist. And it took a while. It wasn't like a quick thing. It was like years, literally. So he was treating me, and what would happen, I would keep getting these flares from time to time. And let me just backtrack. With the initial one where I was in the emergency room and transferred to another hospital, my vision literally changed overnight and never went back. So the danger with these flares when I have them is that it can permanently damage my vision every single time. So, you know, it's a whole big thing. So, you know, I kept working. My primary doctor kept treating me. We found an amazing rheumatologist who did the work. She did the work. Like, she told me, you know, these things are not one and done. Like, you just can't tell what's wrong with someone off of a blood test and that's it. She told me it's a puzzle and to let her handle it and just focus on taking care of myself. And she did the work. We got down to the bottom of it, and right now we're in a stage of treatment. So if you follow my channel, you'll see I've taken you guys along on my infusions. I update when I have to go to the emergency room, when I'm having flares. Right now I am 20 pounds heavier than I was just last month because I had an eye flare, and, you know, eye and body, mostly eyes though, but it was so bad. They had me on 3 different steroids, not at the same time, but back to back. It was like, okay, this one's not working in a certain amount of time, we need this one. And then, you know, I was literally gaining a pound a day. So I have to work on losing that weight now. I'm working on that, you know, actively working on that. But it's just been a journey, and I just want to, you know, share my story and my information, because what's crazy is that people who see me, you know, I don't walk around talking about my issues or anything like that, but if something comes up, and let's say, like, you know, certain people at my job have found out, or one lady, and she's a lot older than me, she asked me why I was parked in the handicap parking at my job. Like, why did I have the handicap placard thing? I'm like, you know, I have some issues. You know, I didn't really want to talk about it or anything, and, you know, she's telling me, oh, just pray about it, and that's great. But it's just like, people see me and they don't think like, oh, nothing could be wrong with her, like, you know, because I make sure that for the most part I don't look like what I'm going through. That's a big thing for me, and that was a big reason, besides me being obsessed with makeup and everything beauty, because when I started back my channel, I wasn't going to share my autoimmune issues and my journey and all that. But I'm like, you know what, there's a lot of women and men out there just like me who are going through the same things that I'm going through, and I just want to show you that you can still live your life. You know, when your body is telling you you need rest, by all means rest. You know, this is something that we have to live with. It doesn't have to own you. You don't have to look, quote unquote, sick. I don't consider myself sick. I don't even like using that word. I'm big on the power of the tongue, so I don't say, oh, I'm sick. I'll just say I have issues, autoimmune issues. I never say I'm sick. I don't like that. But we can still be beautiful, do our makeup, do our hair, like, we can still live your life. Like, as of now and moving forward, I'm calling myself an autoimmune baddie. And I'm just gonna, you know, continue to keep going like that. But I'm on my lunch break at work, and I just felt the need to put that out there. But yeah, I have to get back there. And, you know, if you guys have any questions, or if you want to know more about my story, you can always hit the comments. Please give me a like and a subscribe, because I am trying to really build my platform, because as much as I'm not letting autoimmune diseases rule my life, I am realistic, and I do recognize that I am not going to be able to work a traditional 9 to 5 for, a whole lot longer. That's why I ventured into YouTube, because it's always been a passion of mine. And I really just want to build my channel and just share my journey. Like, that's my passion. So, give me a like and a subscribe. It's free. It really helps me out. It really helps out the channel. And, it's gonna help me pour back and give back and do more. And yeah. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I just felt the urge to do that. And yeah, let me get back to work, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.